subscribe and hit the bell icon for any future upload. And also, relax and enjoy the experience.
What is up everybody, South here back with another video, and today is the first video of 2018 guys. How are you all, and Happy New Year. Now, I do know that it's actually been a week since New Year's already begun, and this was the soonest that I could get on to making this video with all the school projects and homework and all that stuff. But my New Year's resolution for this year was study well, focus on fitness actually, and do YouTube videos more constantly. And this year I'm actually going to go to 12th grade, so I don't know how constant that's going to be, but I'll try my best to upload a video a week, and that's kind of like my goal for this year. I know I might have missed out last week, but I hope I could get out a video a week from this week onwards. But anyway, let's jump into the video. Now, to start off 2018, I thought it would be great to bring in a review that had to be done a long time ago. And this is a review of the Dell Inspiron 5567. Cue B-roll! I hope you enjoyed that cinematic B-roll. I tried to be as good as possible when I was making it, and I've got some more juicy B-roll yet to come. But anyway, let's jump into the overview right now. On a whole scale, it actually looks amazing, it feels amazing. Though it's made of plastic, it is a really good laptop. The software Windows 10 Home with Fall Creators Update right now is amazing. And it's pretty fast, it's good in its performance. With high workloads, it's gonna have some amount of hiccups, which is expected. But on a whole, it's a great laptop and a best bang for your buck kind of option. I think it's around $500 to $800, but it's a Dell laptop. It's the Dell Inspiron 5567. It's no XPS 13 or XPS 15, but it does the job well. Why don't we get into the comprehensive review? And in this review, we're going to be focusing on the main features, which are the build quality, the display, the keyboard, the trackpad, the speakers, webcam, battery life, benchmarks, and performance on a whole. So why don't we get into the video? So to first start off by talking about the laptop, let's start by talking about that build quality. And the build quality on this thing is not that bad at all. It does have an entirely full plastic design, and it does have some flex to it, but that's what you get for $600. But on the contrary, it is fairly durable and it's really lightweight comparatively. I mean, it's not MacBook Pro lightweight, but compared to my old laptop or any other old laptop that you're coming from, it's really lighter than those. And it's fairly thinner than those as well. And that's because of that plastic design. Now, alright guys, while we're on the topic of the build quality, why don't we talk about that display? Now, of course, it is an LCD 1366 by 768 display, which is actually 720p, but it's not that bad. It's nice and bright, and it has this awesome feature called True Color Display by Dell. Well, I don't know if it's by Dell, but Dell implemented this, which uses actual light ambient sensors present right beside the webcam to understand your color situation and adjust the screen's color temperature accordingly to give your eyes comfort rather than strain, and it is really useful. And while I'm at talking about display, let me just give you a secret tip on how to change it or upgrade it to 1080p if you by mistaken got the 720p version. I'll give you guys a link in the video description to the replacement display which has 1080p. Get it, install it, and enjoy full HD, guys. It's pretty simple, and it's only $100, I guess. It could be cheaper if you look somewhere else. I found this on Amazon, and it was pretty simple to find it. And right below that display is the keyboard, which is really great, and it's not bad. It does have a shallow key travel, but it's not that bad. Key spacing is great, and it has fairly increased my typing speed, and it's better off typing on a chiclet style keyboard rather than a mechanical keyboard. I'm not against mechanical keyboards, I just find them to be annoyingly tough while pressing. But moving on, why don't we get on to talk about that trackpad? The trackpad of this laptop is amazing. It's made out of some sort of soft touch plastic with a bit of a sandstone texture to it. It's amazing as it uses Windows precision drivers, which gives you a whole lot of gesture space, so you can use gestures to move across tabs, and it just makes using Windows a lot smoother and a whole lot easier, guys. And this trackpad is fairly massive, so you have a wide variety of gestures to work with here. Moving on, right below the trackpad and under the device are some speakers, which are really amazing, and they actually sound really good. They're loud and nice and crisp and have 0% distortion. Now, they aren't those neutral profile kind of speakers like studio monitors or anything, but these do the job pretty well, guys. And of course, if the sound profile of the speakers is not desirable by you, you could go and fine tune it with the built-in Max Audio Pro application. With this application, you can actually tune the amount of bass and the amount of treble that you want through those speakers. It's really amazing, and since I love a good amount of bass, I keep it just a bit high. And detail, I always love detail, so that's also high as well. I really love the speakers of this laptop, and I most often feel that I could edit off of these speakers. They're not bad. Moving on to the top portion of the laptop, why don't we talk about that webcam? But in order to talk about it, I want you to see this video. This is just a 2 megapixel sensor recording at 720p. It's not that bad. It does have a fair amount of grain to it, but that's just because it's a really tiny sensor. Now, of course, when smartphones can always record all the way up to 4K at 60 frames per second, I would always love a laptop to have at least a minimum of 1080p at 30 frames per second. Is that too much to ask for from laptop manufacturers? And 2 megapixels is just too tiny. I would rather like maybe a 5 megapixel sensor. Just asking. It would be great to have one. On the contrary, this is how the microphone of the laptop's webcam actually sounds like. Moving on. So that's just about the webcam, and I really hope you guys don't record any YouTube videos on this. Get your phone, hit it on a tripod, and record it. It's great for Skype calls, but it's not good for YouTube videos. You're gonna have to have at least a good amount of quality there. Moving on, why don't we talk about the battery life of this laptop? And it's actually really not that bad. It's actually in the place where most laptops are. The battery life of this laptop is actually average. It could last you around 5 to 6 hours if you're using it on casual usage. Maybe you're typing a Word document or just web browsing or watching YouTube videos. It could last you around 5 to 6 hours, or even 7 hours if you're using the battery saver mode or anything like that. But if you're doing high performance tasks like editing video off of Filmora, it lasts you up to 1 video edit. But if you're using even performance drinking tasks like Premiere Pro, you could only get through half of your edit, and then you're gonna have to connect your charger. And charging on this thing is not bad at all. It actually does require you to charge it for like 2.5 hours to get a full charge, but that's actually not that bad. It's really good that way. Standby times on this thing are amazing, and if you're just a light user of laptops, you could push this all the way up to 7 hours. But if you're a high-end user, like you edit videos, you edit audio, whatever program you use for editing video, or even if you're a gamer, this thing should last you for around 2 hours or so, give or take. But moving on, why don't we talk about benchmarks. Now, of course, we all know that benchmarks aren't the way to decide the actual performance that every laptop hides within it, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give you guys at least a bit of perspective on where it is in the scale of the best performance laptop and in the budget laptop performance range. And in Geekbench, it actually scored 3559 on the single core score and 6812 on the multi-core score. In GPU performance, it scored around 22,686. Now, of course, these are not impressive, but considering the fact that this is a 7th gen Core i5 processor with 2 cores, it's actually not that bad. It's close to how a Snapdragon 835 processor would perform on a mobile device. And it's actually not that bad. I find editing off of this really comfortable. Although I have the usual jitters and stutters, it actually gets me through an actual entire edit. Now, the worst part of this is when I'm editing with Adobe After Effects while I'm creating intro templates or something like that crazy. It takes me forever. It's just a simple 30-second intro. It takes me 3.5 hours to complete it. It's really that painful when you're using a 2-core processor to do After Effects video templates. It's the perks of having a 2-core laptop, but it's actually not that bad when you're using it in day-to-day usage. Now, after talking about all those benchmarks, why don't we get into the actual real-world tests and give you some perspective with usual day-to-day tasks like web browsing, typing Word documents, and YouTube videos and all that stuff. It should give you a good performance. It should be really smooth, fast, and really smooth, and it's amazing. You feel like it's the best laptop ever, and you could have as many tabs open as possible in Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, whatever browser you're using, and it still doesn't hiccup. But when you get into high performance tasks like video editing or gaming, that's where the fan starts to kick in and the thermal throttling increases. Now, I'm not an avid gamer, I don't have any games on this, but I did preload a few, and in that test I got an average of around 30 to 25 frames per second. Sometimes I got 40 to 40 frames per second, but that's only on the oldest games like Splinter Cell, Black Ops. But I did get really good performance. The gaming was not that bad. But when I got onto video editing, that's where it started to piss me off and kick me in the behind. Since this is only a 2-core laptop with a Radeon R7 M445 graphics card, it should actually do pretty well. But if I don't pre-render the video, it actually is a pain in the behind, guys. Yep, it is. And that's only because it's a 2-core processor. Now, if this was a quad-core with a good amount of RAM, like 16 gigs, it should do it well. But since this is a dual-core processor with 8 gigabytes of RAM, it does it fairly well. I could get through editing because I'm a patient person, and I edit most of my videos off the laptop using Premiere Pro. And since I'm a patient person, I got through it. But it depends on you whether you want to edit using Premiere Pro or some low-end software like Filmora or Windows Movie Maker. But that's just about the performance. If you're a light user, this is great for you, but if you're a heavy, high-performance user like video editor, or maybe you're a gamer, this should do you average, but you should be super patient with this laptop when you're doing high-performance tasks. And that is sort of the comprehensive review of the laptop. A few extras that I have to say, maybe about the ports. It has 3 USB ports, 2 of them USB 3.0 and 1 of them USB 2.0. Has an SDXC card slot, which supports all SD card formats. It has a headphone jack, it has a DC in, a Kensington lock, Ethernet, and an HDMI port. So it has all these great peripherals, including a CD drive, if you are the person that uses CD drives these days. And so after the extras, let me just give you a final short overview. This is an amazing laptop, it feels good, and it is a really well built laptop for the price, guys. there is a whole lot of upgradability. You could upgrade the RAM, the hard drive to an SSD, you could upgrade the display of the device. It's all upgradable, and if you feel like you're really down on some things, you could go ahead and upgrade it. If you're a really light user, the base setup should be good enough for you to go through your daily tasks. But if you're a high-end workhorse requirement kind of person, this is actually not the laptop for you. You might be interested in the Core i7 variant with 16GB of RAM, which should be sufficient for you guys. So anyway, that wraps it up for this video. Hope you liked it. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, follow me on all social media links linked down in the description below. Support me on Patreon, and I'll see you guys later.